Hello, YouTube land.
So last time we ended with Cow. I almost forgot his name for some reason. Got captured. So we don't have our lightsaber, but we are still a Jedi.
Yeah, luckily we have midichlorians.
Remember midichlorians?
That's still a thing, right? They didn't retcon that.
I don't think they mentioned it in the sequel.
I don't think they did. Okay, I promise this time not to just complain about the new movies, but what I will say is I have a further appreciation for the prequels now. Like, I don't forget if I said that last time, but they're not as good as the originals, obviously, but they feel very Star Warsy, and they always have. And I think it took some things that don't feel Star Warsy to make you appreciate something that is flawed but Star Warsy that much more, if that makes sense. What the? So how's everyone doing today? It's a Saturday. We usually do LPs on Saturdays. I hope you enjoyed knowing that fact. We do them once a week, although we put them up.
Dude, look at this game when it's not stuttering. Like when you're in a little enclosed
Oh, yeah.
area, it looks so good.
60 FPS easy.
Yeah, we only render at 30, but it looks so good right now.
But yeah, it's a Saturday. It's supposed to snow tomorrow, and so of course everyone freaks out. Which I don't get it, because it's not like we live in North Carolina. We live in Pennsylvania. We're used to snow. But the one thing I've learned in all my years living here, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere, is if you tell someone that they can't go somewhere for one single day. Also, my cat's down here in case you hear any the bell ringing in the background.
Spencer cat is the most free spirit. It just does whatever it wants, more than any cat.
Nova. We have a doggy door for our dog to go outside onto the deck, and Nova just goes out whenever she wants and leaves for hours at a time, and then just randomly appears back for food. And one time we followed her,
Dude, some cats have miles of radius that they travel.
Yeah, she goes to the neighbor's yard, the one right next to us, and just sits there. And I find that to be hilarious.
That is weird.
She just sits in the backyard, and I'm like, Nova, are you living a double life? But every time she comes back, she's really hungry, so I'm like, well, no one else is feeding her.
Yeah.
The heck was I saying? Oh yeah, snow. So every time that it snows, and it's can you just stay in your house for one day? People are like, no.
Yeah. Must do everything. Gotta get milk, gotta get games, gotta trade and stuff.
So, I remember, I don't remember, we had a blizzard in, I want to say, 94. So I don't remember that really well because I was, 6, but apparently it was, crazy. But in my entire adult life, I remember one time where it wasn't more than one day we were stuck home. And that was in 2015. There was, a huge snow where we were stuck home for 2 days. And it's dog, even if you don't have any food in the house, you have, most people, if they say they don't want food in the house, they mean they don't have stuff they want, But it's most people have, a couple cans of beans or some rice or whatever lying around. So it's just because you can't order pizza for one day, you'll be okay. You'll be okay, fam. But yeah, around here, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere. If you're hey, just stay home for one day, it's no, I gotta drive everywhere.
Hey! Oh, I'm happy to see you too. Let's get that restraining bolt off of you. Jerks.
One of my favorite pictures of the last... Are you looking for?
No, it's not.
Of the last 10 years
Get out of here before the same happens to us.
is... there's a picture of when there was a snowfall in... it was either North or South Carolina. So obviously they get snow sometimes, but not that often. And literally, it's just enough for a dusting. But there's a picture of a long highway, and there's on this long highway, there's 5 accidents. There's cars skidded off the side of the road, and there's in the foreground there's a girl holding both her hands on her head and sobbing because I guess maybe she got into a minor fender bender, and that was from a dusting of snow. It's not you can literally see the ground and it's a dusting, and that's just how it is for areas that aren't used to it. one of my biggest pet peeves is I have both an SUV and a truck, the truck for work, and like the SUV is 4-wheel drive and the truck can be 4-wheel drive just like all trucks. And people think that because you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle that you're like immune to snow for some reason.
Like it's minorly helpful for sure.
But
it
like
also really matters what tires you use.
I see like big and like so if you live in like North Dakota, like my one friend lived in North Dakota. So it snows like from, October to May, right? So like you have snow tires, right? Like that's just the thing. It snows all the time. If there's not snow on the ground, it's weird. Ooh. Oh, that's right. You get to probably do this.
Yeah, so this is the most convenient thing in the world. So this Jedi is literally almost unarmed. Obviously he has the Force, but does not have his lightsaber. And this guy is like, be in my arena, here's your lightsaber back.
Okay. But anyway, real quick, to finish that off, just because you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle or like a truck doesn't mean you're immune to snow. So when I see people in a truck similar size to mine, and I don't have a big truck, it's like I guess you would call on the small side of trucks, just blazing by when there's snow on the ground, I'm like, do you follow the same laws of physics I do? I just don't get it. I forget if I told you, Trev, but the one day where I think when it snowed earlier this like November or December, I think you were in the car with me actually. Remember? I think that was you. I don't think that was George. Remember when we saw that big truck?
Oh, going like literally 2 miles an hour.
And remember that one that was pulling out of Wise, and it had like 6 wheels, like where those big trucks have 4 wheels on the back, and literally even that still skidded, and I was like, look at that big truck, and it started skidding, and we were like, yep. I think that was you in the car.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's like, boy, you have 4 huge wheels on the back, and you're still skidding all over the place. BTFO'd. Cops probably get so annoyed, and like, I guess anyone, that has to do with like roadway stuff, when they get called to the side of like someone who like went off the side of the road in a minor fender bender, and it's like, what were you doing? Milk! It's like, okay. Hey, it's like Ratchet Deadlocked, except for Star Wars.
Meow.
Hi, Nova. We're gonna take this cat upstairs.
You know about cats? I do find it interesting that some cats meow way more often than some others. And Nova meows about anything.
So, when we went to go get Nova, we wanted to go to the ASPCA, which is kind of like the pound, essentially, but it's like, a place you can rescue animals. And because of COVID stuff, they were being so weird. Like, they were open, but only by appointment, and getting an appointment was, like, the most impossible thing in the world. And, like, quite frankly, at least our local one, like, and I'm sure it's different everywhere else, but, like, all the local ones were, like, really, like, rude when we were like, hey, we just want to adopt a cat, and they were like, oh, and I'm like, okay. Like, I get with COVID stuff, but, like, animals still need to be adopted, And we were like, can we at least, like...
Dude, everywhere, like... I swear, like, everywhere, everyone is just so miserable. Like, I understand that the world is like, it sucks, and working sucks. But just, like, put on a face. Even I put on a face, and I'm the most miserable human.
But yeah, so we could not, like, no matter what we did, we could, like... They were in there, and they would, like, not answer the phone, and they would not come to the door, and we were like, okay. So we just literally went to PetSmart, and we were like, oh, they have cats here. Like, I would prefer to get it at the ASPCA, but they didn't, and Nova was there. And there were 2 funny things about it. The first is, the lady was like, the first thing when Ash was like, oh my god, look at that cat. The lady was like, she's a talker. And I'm like, yep. Because, like, she literally just, like, you see her, she'll be like, meow. And then you'll be like, hi. And she'll be like, meow. But the other funny thing was, her original name wasn't Nova. It was Luna. And we were like, oh, my god. We were like, I think that's meant to be. because it was just like Luna and Luna. And I find myself calling Luna Nova and Nova Luna. So I'll be like, Nova, I mean, Luna. But yeah, that's a good point. I really appreciate everyone that like goes above and beyond for their job. Like everyone, no matter what you do. Like if you're a doctor, like my current doctor, I just like happened upon him, but he's like a younger guy and he's like really nice and he's like listens and stuff. I know I mentioned last time that our kid's doctor is in and out in 5 seconds, but that's what you want from a kid's doctor. You don't want him to sit in there and be like, let me make this shot take 30 minutes. You're like, no, just get me out of here. But for an adult doctor, you want them to at least listen to you and be like,
if I actually went to an adult doctor and they're just like, let's check you over, do like tests for 2 minutes. Okay, you're good. See ya. I'd be like,
yeah.
Okay.
So anyone. Like, I remember one time, like, I went to like Taco Bell, I think, and the person like working the drive-thru was like so nice. I like had to mention this to him. I was like, thank you for being so nice. And they were like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, what? Like, thank you. Like, so if you are out there watching this and you know someone in your life, even if you don't know them, like, personally, and they're like very above and beyond at their job, no matter what it is, even if your trash guy is like specifically good and you see him in the morning, be like, thanks, dude. Because that really goes like a long way. And that was my TED talk.
Can we talk?
No.
I don't know what's going on between you and her. I mean, I figure it's some kind of Jedi thing, but I don't think this is the right time for it. It's not any of your business. It's my business. And we're all in this together, aren't we?
Yeah, sometimes people with the store, they're like, man, you guys are always so nice when I come in. And I'm like, well, yeah, because if we were like miserable, it would make the whole thing miserable. And it's like, I've been in enough game stores and, you know, magic places and whatever where it's like, the general feel is like, oh, God. And you just want to leave, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, I feel bad for, like, every GameStop, like, ever. Like, the employees are like...
Yeah. And it's like the employees, like, obviously the job sucks, but also you're, like, mandated to ask all those questions, to get those subs, to get those numbers. So, like, either you be an annoying employee towards all your customers, or you lose your job because you didn't hit numbers. And it's like, well, lose-lose situation there.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually think I had someone tell me today, they were like, I had to go to GS to get like it was like some specific thing only they carry, you know, like a GameStop exclusive. I was like, I don't care, like that's fine. He was like, dude, I think he said it's such a chore to like shop there, and I was like, dude, I know exactly what you mean. Like there's some places where it's such a chore where you're like, oh God, please, and there's some places where it's like rather easy, you know, like. But yeah, if you go to a place and you're just like, oh God, like you need to like mentally prepare to go to a place. Like that's what I have to do for Costco, and it's not their fault. It's just the fact that it's so busy. Like it's not anything against Costco or the employees specifically.
Well, the employees, 25%, 20% their fault, but it's just a madhouse there constantly.
The people who work at the food court, by the way, are always the nicest.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree.
I think it's because they just have their own little confined space, and especially nowadays they only serve like 4 things, which I don't know if that makes it easier or harder, but it's like literally all day it's just like making chicken bakes. Like you come in at like 12 and check out at 8, and it's like I made 5,000 chicken bakes or whatever. Like I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. Also the first time ever I went to Costco the other day to get stuff for the store. The first time ever. They had no ready-made pizzas. You know the ones where you can just pick them up and go?
Oh.
I even asked him, I was like, hey, am I not missing them? And he was like, well, we don't have any. I was like, oh, wow. Like, it's the first time in, like, years. So I don't know if it's a COVID thing or if it's the fact they go through them so fast. I will say I came at, like, the first thing in the morning, so maybe they would, like, put them out later. But that's the first time ever that they didn't have any ready-made pizzas. Also, they had paper towels, like the good kind that I like. And literally every single cart that I passed had one of the things of paper towels in it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I had one too, of course, so I'm not, like, judging. But it was just so funny, like, how fast they can go through a skid of those, you know? And it's just like, and 5,000 rolls of paper towels are gone. It's like, yep.
Yeah, I bet there's trucks that like the singular purpose is just bringing those pallets of paper towels there.
I can't
That's
even
all
imagine.
they do.
I talked to a former employee, and he said they get like truckloads 3 times a week, and I can't even imagine.
Said you weren't overrun. You didn't realize.
I would say I would enjoy working there if I was only in the back, like just like dismounting trucks and putting stuff away. I actually like stuff like that. But if it involved going out on the floor for 1 second, I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, if I was like a cashier in the food court, I'd be like, nah.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I feel them, and there's a reason they pay well, because you are just going to have a constant line of people 24/7. Including me.
If you leave, the Wookiees lose support.
Not all. Mari is staying behind with Choisig and Tarful. Some of our troops went with them.
Chosic.
My child already lost one parent. I can't stay. But myself and the others will find a new way to
She's
serve
like-
the cause.
Yeah, she's like glitching.
Yeah, it's like very subtly like jumping upwards
Yep.
a little tiny
Huh.
bit.
Let's go, BD.
Alright, so I think I just go.
So I have a very specific question of the part, and let us know below, as opposed to above. And the question is, within the last, I want to say 10 years, we've gotten to the point where games can be patched to the point where they become completely different games. I mean, that's just a fact, right? Like, 1 week, for when I played Madden a lot, 1 week Madden could be great, and the next week it could be awful, because they made one change, right? So my question is, do you like it better now that they can release a game that's messed up, like, say, Cyberpunk, but over time be able to patch it so it's a completely different game and fix their mistakes? Or did you like it better when games, when they came out, that just is what it is, and it's done, and there's nothing you can ever do, unless you have, say, a Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, where you literally go, our bad on Castlevania 64, here's a whole new game that's essentially, a patch.
Yeah,
What-
like a big expansion pack.
Right. So what do you prefer? And I think that there's a way to look at it both ways. The positive for the patches is that you can fix mistakes.
Yeah, there's positives of both, but unfortunately, it seems like game companies do the worst of both too.
Yeah.
Because they'll just make some garbage game like Fallout 76 or Cyberpunk on consoles and be like, it's completely unplayable on launch. It's like unacceptable, and they're like, just wait for patches. It's like, no, that's not cool. But completely abandoning a game like something like Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, that game was a piece of crap, and then they really didn't do anything to fix it because it just flopped.
Right.
That's also bad.
But then you have something like...
Yeah.
I guess it's loading. 'cause it's a
Remember
big
last
area.
time Kashyyyk is just... This
Oh,
is
yeah.
the worst running area in the game. I don't know why.
But then you have a game like Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, just as an example. There's plenty of bad games in the past. But that's a game where, kind of famously, it was like a rushed and really weird development. And you look at that and you're like, it was released and it will always be bad, but if it was released nowadays, it would be bad, but then they could fix it. Like, fix the camera and stuff like that. So, if you had to choose just one, folks of YouTube, what would you choose? And let us know below. I gotta be honest, I don't know. I think I would rather prefer the way it was in the past.
Yeah,
So-
the problem is that someday, and it's going to happen, that, like, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo servers are going to be offline. So, like, in 20 years, when PS4s and PS5s don't get updates for games anymore, you'll buy Cyberpunk on the disc, and it's in that unplayable build.
Where they won't have the patches anymore.
Yeah, it's like...
That's a good point.
So I definitely prefer... I'm fine with, like, patching, like, minor mistakes, but releasing a game that's completely unplayable and then fixing it later, that's not...
It is a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword. So, I mean, just like Trevor said, like, you can release a game and then customers can be like, hey, this game's awesome, but just to let you know, there's this one thing that happens. And you can be like, oh, cool, not a problem, and just go in and fix it. But, again, companies don't always have the best, everyone's best, thoughts in mind. So, I don't know. I think because I like to try to be a little bit more like black and white person and just be like, this game's good or this game's bad. I think it's weird that, like, for instance, Assassin's Creed Unity is one of the best examples of a game that was awful upon release, So if someone was buying it brand new, you'd be like, "Can you recommend this?" You'd be like, "No." But nowadays, you can easily recommend it because it was heavily patched and heavily changed. So it's like, is Assassin's Creed Unity a bad game? It's like it was, Like I find that to be kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a gray area.
Where I was,
But the problem is that once they stop supporting PS4 games with updates,
then it's a bad game again.
in 15 years, they'll be like, you can't play this game anymore unless there's like some sort of like. Hopefully, I mean, the community is good at archiving stuff in terms of games preservation. So hopefully, like someday, there's like a website for like game updates that you can download. So hopefully that's a thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, there'll probably be emulators in the future for stuff like that as well. So.
That's a really good question. If like you emulate a PS1 game, you just need to take the ISO file, which is the whole game. But say you emulate a PS4 game, which is obviously not a thing now, but when it is a thing, that's a really good question. Would it be emulating it with the patches or not?
Yeah, and I think I remember talking to Jacob a bit because he was messing around with the PS3 emulator, and I'm pretty sure you can already download like patches for things. So I think that's already a reality. But it's interesting because I mean, there's patches nowadays are so gigantic.
God, yeah.
Like I think Cyberpunk and Fallout 76 got like 50 gig updates. And it's like, what's not an update? It's like the entire game.
The thing that sucks really bad is like the new systems have that 1 terabyte SSD, and SSDs are really cool. Solid state drives. That's awesome. Our computer at work's an SSD. It's not a big one. It's like 250 gig, but I really like turning on the computer and having it be ready in literally 5 seconds. That's so dope. I think this computer's an SSD.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like it's hard to go back. But at the same point, it's like when a game is like 150 gigs and Microsoft's extra hard drives for the Series X are like so expensive.
Yeah.
I think they're probably SSD as well.
They
but
are
they're like so expensive.
Yeah, they are overpriced for sure, but it's just kind of naturally because they're like high-end SSDs at the same time.
Yeah.
So they're charging for the convenience and for the technology.
Oh no, and I totally get that. It sucks.
I'm still waiting because I have like a 12 terabyte external storage drive, and it's like it's at the point where it's like 5, 6, 7 years old, and it's like I really want to like upgrade it to be full SSD, but like man, buying 12 terabytes of SSD storage,
God.
it's literally would probably be like $1,000.
Can you even get that in one?
No, they do sell like 4 terabyte sticks
Of SSD.
Yeah.
But you'd have to get like 3 of them.
Yeah. And like all of those are like 300, 400.
Dude, I mean, technology obviously changes a lot. Of course, VCRs when they were brand new were like $500, So it's just a natural state. But I remember when I was in high school in like maybe 05 or so, Matt Schaefer had a 1. I want to say a 1. No, that doesn't sound right. I want to say he had 100 gigabyte external, and that was like, I want to say it was 100 gigabyte. Because I wanted to say 1 gigabyte, and I'm like, no, that's stupid. Even back then, that's ridiculously small.
Yeah.
But he had like 100 gigabyte, and I remember, and like, it was like the size of like, I don't know how you would explain it, like, the size of a mini computer now, and we were like, whoa! And it was like, and like they all required their own external power source and all that. We were like, no way. And he's like, yeah, cost $200 or whatever. And now like 100 gig. I mean, like stinking micro SDs for the Switch are 128 gigabytes and cost like $20. So like that is, I specifically remember, and I'm not that ancient, but I remember being like, oh dude, 100 gigs. How would you ever use all that? Because at the time it was like full of music and stuff, and that's obviously like a billion songs, unless you do like, Flack, which he did at the time.
Mufflack.
There was a period of time where I liked music like that, where I was like, what was oink.mu, I think? You ever hear that? It was like a peer.
Yeah, I've heard of
it was like a peer-to-peer for like really obscure music. So like if you wanted to, and this was before Spotify and all that stuff. So if you like wanted to find like obscure French metal or something like that, you had to go to like Oink. and then you had to like host it for a while, or else they would just like kick you off. So there was a period of time where I was like, everything I like has to be very obscure, and I don't even care if it's really good. It just has to be obscure, and therefore I have to get it in FLAC and all this stuff. And then I went from that to being like, everything I like is punk, and I can't imagine listening to punk in anything but a garage, a garbage can.
Yeah, FLAC sound quality for
FLAC the Stooges.
yeah. It's like you can hear the static.
Like Funhouse or something like that. And FLAC. Oh god. Or like Operation. I think like I was gonna say like Operation Ivy, but I think the Stooges, their first album, is like the most low quality thing I've ever heard. Like even for like garage bands.
Yeah, it like literally just a cheap mic in a garage.
It's literally worse than how we have this set up, and this is like one good microphone set up 10 feet away from us.
Yeah, it's like just getting all the room audio. I mean, we don't have like a feed from the game audio; it's just going through the mic.
Nope.
But I think it sounds.
Oh yeah, it sounds
I mean,
perfectly fine.
for the viewership we get, we put way more work than we.
Excuse me. All I have to say is
Hey, we've been growing.
we've been averaging like 15, 20 views
Yeah.
a video, and that used to be really uncommon. So thank you, viewers, whoever you are. And before it's me on 15 different IPs. Actually, that's so much work. I remember when YouTube used to keep track of views differently, where it was like the amount of like times it was viewed. I don't think it really mattered on IP, so you could just sit there and like refresh it. And I would do that for like Eric Trivio's videos, like to help him out. Like he would like have like a video that he would like send in for a contest, and I'd be like refresh, you know. And like there was like a certain amount of times you could do it. But obviously now it's not. Even if it does it that way, it doesn't matter because like if you see someone and they get like 100,000 views, like does that impress you? Like it doesn't, you know.
Yeah,
Like it's if I stumble upon someone and they have like 1 million views for a video, I'm like whoa. But if like there's so many people that have like 100,000 views per video, you know.
yeah, like YouTube is like just a ginormous platform now.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of like theories and like reviews on like the Star Wars new trilogy, and like I'm finding these new channels, and each of them, like every single video is like, I don't like the new trilogy. Here's my video essay for an hour, and it's just them talking over like, you know, clips of it, and it's like 250,000 views, and I'm like, hey, like you could find anything and be like, they have 100,000 views, you know. And I think it's to the point now that unless you get like multiple hundreds of thousand views per video, you cannot like have it as a job. Unless you're
Yeah,
like,
you get-
please join my Patreon.
You
Please,
seriously
please,
get like
please.
1/1000th of like a penny per like 1,000 views or something,
Yeah,
or per viewer.
per view, yeah. I mean, that's why even people I watch that get like, you know, over 100,000 per video are like, this video is brought to you by Manscaped.com.
Yeah, if I was doing YouTube as a job, sponsorships are like annoying, but like you can easily just skip past them. But like
Yeah.
if like some like company was just like make a 30-second sponsorship
For NordVPN.
per video, we give you $1,000. It's like, yeah, sure.
I mean, even, it's like really weird considering I'm a YouTube boomer, and I literally had a YouTube account in like 2005. But it's really weird to even see AVGN at the very beginning of AVGN episodes be like, hey everyone, thanks for watching The Nerd. This
Yeah.
episode's brought to you by NordVPN. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know.
no!
I don't know if that's because they're owned by Screenwave Media now. I have a feeling that it is.
Oh, okay. You mean Cinemassacre?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were bought out by Screenwave, or James sold it or something. I'm not sure how it works.
I don't blame them.
But I'm pretty sure it's called Screenwave Media. And that's where you see like some of the other like fat guys and like the videos that no one watches.
Oh, the ones where they're just doing like rental reviews and
Yeah.
stuff.
If you see like those like 3 or 4 fat guys, it's like those are all Screenwave Media.
Oh, that makes sense then. All I know is apparently that one guy got really buff or really fit or whatever.
Nice.
I as a semi-fat guy, I appreciate when a fat guy just decides to get buff for like no reason.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And Spencer's only semi-fat, and I'm definitely fat, so I'm definitely a hypocrite for mentioning it. But gotta mention it anyway. It's the easy way to tell.
We literally live in America. It's fine. Like, I'm 6 foot 220, and like that's considered like pretty average, which is funny because like I'm definitely like stocky and quote unquote big boned. Like I'm not a small frame, you know? And it's like just funny that that's how the state of the country is, where it's like 6 foot 220, you're average. I'm like, dude, I'm not average. Like, except for my legs, which are kind of skinny, I'm wide. I'm just a wide person, you know?
I'm 6'3", and I just have like a very weird build where I just have like massive thighs.
But like, I do find that funny. Like,
I've never seen a place like this before.
and I always like when I play football with the guys. Like sometimes like we keep stats and stuff like that, and like we like to be nerds like that. And I'll be like, hey, I'm writing up your bio thing. What's your what's your height and stuff? And like this one guy's like, oh, I'm 5'9", 150, and I'm like, what? Like it's hard for me to imagine. I'm like, you're 3 inches shorter than me, and you weigh 70 less pounds. Oh my god. Like, I try to imagine myself at, like, 170, which I guess would be the equivalent, and I'm like, I would just blow away in the wind. Although, said guy who's 5'9", 170, we had a play last week where, like, our feet tangled up and I landed on him, and I felt that for him. I was like, sorry, bro. he's like, ah!
Yeah, especially like getting contact directly to your bones. It's like it's so
yeah, and it was just an accident. We both went for the ball and we got tangled up, and like I literally just
what is going on?
full landed on him and was like, oh, bro. I wish it would have been someone like Cody or something like that, who's like more my size, and we just would have caused like a seismic rift. But then the crazy part is, I was like, because he was like, oh god, I was like, imagine NFL people who are 6'3", 320. I can't, because I felt it. I was like, oh my god, I like that 220 hits hard, So imagine if you're like 320, like holy crap. And like the ground is so hard right now because it's winter, It's like, oh Jesus, those guys literally don't get paid enough,
Yeah, especially like the Super Bowl is usually played like dead of winter, January, February.
The thing is, they almost always play it in either warm places or inside.
Oh, okay.
This year, I don't know if you know this, so you know how the Tampa Bay Bucks with Brady are in the Super Bowl? And they are playing the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
Nice.
It just so happened to be that way. Like,
Yeah.
they have it worked out like 3 years in the future for Super Bowls. And it happened to work out that way. So, this is the first time that the stadium they're playing it in, that the home team's playing in the Super Bowl. And of course, Base Brady does it. Base Brady does it
No.
again.
I think I pushed the wrong button. Yeah, Base Brady. Patriots are seething.
Belichick seething. Belichick actually probably doesn't care. He's so like old that he's just like.
Yeah, he just seems like a miserable old man.
And the funny thing is, his like, I guess opposites attract, because like his wife seems like that. Like every time like you see pictures of her or like interviews, she's like so bubbly, like just like a bubbly blonde woman, and you're like, how does that work? But then again, Ashley's the opposite of me. She's like happy and stuff. I'm messing. Roar.
Cordova. He was looking for a Zeppo artifact.
I'm that Wookiee on the left.
He's the Jedi.
The Wookiees in general, the one on the right doesn't look too bad,
No.
but they look pretty weird in this
Yeah.
game.
Daily reminder, they pretended to kill Chewie for no reason, and then we're like, oh, he's on another ship! Daily reminder.
They did that to C-3PO too. Like, why double fake out deaths? And both of them were fake. Oh yeah.
Ooh, you get to go underwater?
Yep.
Nice.
Thank you. What will you all do now?
Dude, I watched a video essay yesterday on Mulan, the new one. Holy crap! I forget if I talked about it last week.
Yeah, you were talking about it a bit.
Oh my god! Like
It sounds awful.
I had
like
no-
how they changed it.
I had no idea. Long story short, like we had the discussion about Mary Sue's and people who don't like, have any like sort of like negative things happen to them or whatever. And I thought more about Trevor's definition of Mary Sue, and I definitely understand his definition of like Anakin being one in the prequel
Yeah,
because
my-
literally, and I get it. Literally every single thing involves Anakin.
Yeah.
Like the universe revolves around him, so I definitely understand. But dude, like you know how like the whole thing about characters like is they have to have like a flaw or a fault.
Yeah, there's definitely two types of Mary Sues. There's one, in my opinion, where the story revolves around them.
Like
To
everything.
to an unnatural degree,
Yeah.
and then also the Mary Sue, which has absolutely no flaws.
Goku follows that first one. Goku has flaws, but definitely almost the entirety of DBZ is like them just being like, "Where's Goku?"
Yeah. Also,
Or training to get stronger because of Goku or whatever.
It's one of those things that he definitely falters a lot and has character flaws, but he's more of a passive character where he doesn't really have a character arc ever.
I think he does in Dragon Ball, but maybe not in Z.
Sort of.
I mean, when you compare him to someone like Vegeta, no, he has very minimal comparatively.
yeah, it's just mostly like passive characters, especially passive protagonists, are more like they have a static personality, and then the plot happens because of that static personality, where they influence active characters.
That makes sense. I mean, he certainly does that. Like characters, how many characters become good guys because of him?
Yeah, and also like evil guys show faces of themselves that they never want to show.
That is true. Okay, so you know how usually with characters, like the whole point is like for them to have a flaw to overcome or like trials to overcome. Literally in Mulan, and I'm not joking about this, Mulan's flaw is that she doesn't use enough of her mystical powers. Like, they're like training, right? And like in the first one, Mulan like fails a lot and then realizes like, I'm not as strong as guys, but I'm smarter than these Nimrods, right? And she figures out ways like around it, like, oh, I'm tactically good and these guys are
So-
stupid.
Did the remake not want to acknowledge that biological fact?
Yes,
It makes
unfortunately.
sense.
So not only is she the strongest and like wins every single fight, kind of like how Rey always defeats what's his name, Kylo Ren. But literally, there's a scene where like she's training, and like she's like BTFOing everyone, and the commander calls her into his office, and you think it's going to be like, oh, what's this? Like he's mad, and he's like, Mulan, I know that you have these they call it chi. It's like the Force, chi. I know that you have this chi, and the thing is, you're not using enough of it. Like that's her flaw. Like that's the big flaw is that she's holding back. It's almost like Goku when he's like, I'm only using 5% of my power. So he's like, Mulan, why are you not using all of your chi? And she's like, well, I didn't think I had to. And he's like, you must use all of the chi you have, Neo. And it's like, oh my god, dude. But then again, that's not a good example because Neo has many, many, many problems. And
Also, Neo
and gets his butt kicked
Yeah,
all the time.
like the first 3/4 of Matrix is him getting destroyed.
I can understand someone's opinion otherwise, but I think it like, and I will say I can only form this opinion from what I am, which is a guy, so I can't see it from the other side of things. But if I was a woman, I would be like very upset that that's like you never see like a woman anymore like going through like trials or
Yeah.
like even I don't want to say getting beat up or whatever, but like Mulan at no point is like under any sort of like fire. She like never loses a battle. There's not a point where she's at her
Yeah.
lowest.
And like, this is gonna sound like weird, and if
Like that's
more
kind of
people,
it kind of sucks.
yeah, it's like they just want to make women character into men, if you know what I mean. Like they just want to have the same like traits and like not even acknowledge their like gender at all. I don't know. It's hard to say because like obviously there is that sexism sort of thing that was going on for so long, but like at this point it's like I don't know.
I look at it like this. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and do I think would I rather give her the
So hard if we hadn't intervened.
would I rather give her the lessons from Mulan 1998 or the lessons from Mulan 2020? And the lessons there are no lessons. Like the Mulan 2020 is like, girl, you're perfect. In fact, you're better than perfect. You're the greatest. You don't have to work hard for anything. Whereas the lessons of Mulan 1998 is like, you know what? Sometimes the world isn't fair, but you can do something about it. You can make the world better. And sometimes you're not very strong at something, but if you work at it, you'll get better at it. You know what I mean? And that's a great for anything, for any gender. Like, look at Luke Skywalker. Like, he's an annoying baby in the first one, and honestly, the second movie. You know, he's like very imperfect and naive and weak, and he works at it. And even at the end, he's imperfect, you know, but like he's doing his best.
He's definitely like
I'm talking for the original trilogy, by the way.
He reaches his own in Return of the Jedi, but he still gets BTFO by the Emperor.
And is that a better, regardless of gender, is that a better like lesson than you're strong? Like there's parts of it that you can take where like you're a strong person, you know what I mean?
Like this race. Is this a? I think this is a Disney original. Looks good.
Seems like it. But anyway, it's like, would you rather have that or would you rather that? Oh, like all skills are hard to learn. Would you rather have someone where you build them up to be like, in movies all skills are easy to learn. Like imagine if you're just like.
Yeah,
if you're just like, flipping around and getting really strong and whatever, it's just natural. Like, no.
Yeah, imagine if your role model is Rey. It's like, you're good at everything, and your only character flaws is that you have some opposition sometimes.
That's it.
The entire world is against you.
Every skill I've ever learned has been annoying. Like, quite frankly. Like, guitar, super annoying. I sucked for years, and I still suck, you know? Football, I suck a lot of the times. But I still work on it. I still go out and run routes and try to catch the ball. And sometimes I fail. A lot of times I fail. But, you know, it's something I enjoy, you know. And imagine being just kind of taught. And I hope parents don't do this, but I guess through the media that you take. That just, like, you're always good. And, like, God, that makes things so much harder.
Yeah, it's like everyone is special in their own way.
Absolutely, which is true.
Definitely true. But not everyone is talented in this special way.
No, but the thing is, you can like, you might not be Mozart level of a pianist, and that's just is what it is. Just like I'm not 6'8" and can play in the NBA, but if I wanted to get in shape and practice basketball a lot, I could get pretty good, reasonably good, you know. So if you're just taught that like, oh, you're good all the time, well, it's just not fun, you know. What the heck? Rip that thing.
On second thought, she likes to sit.
And I just want to make it clear that when I say that, I mean it regardless of gender.
Yeah.
But, like, it seems like it's more of a girl thing where, like, movies and TV shows are, quite frankly, a lot of the time
like Mulan,
scared to have, stuff
back,
like that happen.
Going back to Mulan, it has such a good lesson. It's like, you might not be good at, like, one aspect, like your physical limitations, but you're good at your mind and other attributes, and you can shine above other people's in those specific ways. And it's like, that's every human, like even really talented people. Like I bet Brady is bad at a bunch of stuff.
But not only that, Tom Brady practices more than anyone else.
Yeah.
He's been playing football, professional football, for over 20 years, and he's in. If you look up any story about Tom Brady, they'll be like, there's this one of this scrub quarterback who didn't make it very far, but he got like drafted by the Pats. And he was like, dude, I showed up at the training room and went to the foam room at 5 a.m. and guess who was there already? Brady. It's like, that's just, it like, I think he's the best example of that. Like, he had no natural skill, but he's like, screw it. I'm going to work so hard until I'm the best. Now, a little of that is that he is also 6'4" and like 220. You know, that's the stuff that you can't make up. But like, people didn't want him. You know, he was drafted almost at the end of the draft, and he didn't start his first season. He didn't start in college. You know, but he was like, nah, screw you. I'm gonna, you know, practice so much. He won 6 Super Bowls, and he's still in there at 5 a.m. in the morning, which is not something.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't teach that. You just gotta.
Yeah, and you gotta keep up your appearance. It's not something that sticks with you forever.
Nope.
You gotta practice your talents too.
Oh yeah, dude. Like even people who are like geniuses at like music and stuff, like a Mozart, like still practice all the time. So I don't know, and like not all Disney princesses are good role models and everything. Like, you know, Ariel from Little Mermaid is pretty annoying. Like, she's like just kind of like an angsty teenage girl, but like Mulan was a great one, like a great role model. And it sucks that they like I don't even know if they made it, all things considered. Also, you probably know this, but they filmed a lot of that in like provinces of China that like literally have concentration camps for like Muslim Chinese people.
God.
And like literally at the end of the movie, they have a thing.
What is this? I don't remember this.
This is like
It's like a forced memory, but
does it teach you how to jump? Oh, there we go. Literally at the end, they were like, "Thank you for this province and the government of this province," and people were like, "No." And it's like, Disney, you're being a little tone deaf right here, buds. And they were just like, "Nah, it's fine."
and the big problem is that China has just so much financial power nowadays that like you gotta bend the knee to
Dude, it sucks.
get their money.
So many movies, like, literally just... Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's a double jump.
Yep. It just sucks that like freaking Cal sucks so much that he just forgot how to
Double jump.
As long as we get back up.
People...
We're still in this
So actually, we've been going for a while. I'm gonna go back and find the save point. And
Okay, and I'll just say this real quick. People, a lot of major studios, like, go out of their way to get the Chinese market. And unfortunately, a lot of their government beliefs are the opposite of what we in the West would, you know, be into. So a lot of times they specifically make, like, plot points to just be like, we'll get the market in China or whatever. And it's like, ugh, God.
Well, whatever. Going back to the save points again, Lauren. So, end of the part.
We'll
see
just
you
start.
next
We'll
time.
just start next time, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.